Joining me today is Derieck Hodges from Anchor Point Wealth Management. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Always so great to have you out here. So many workers are currently filling out open enrollment benefits. What tips do you have for those people who are doing that right now?
Yeah, you know, we've been talking a lot about inflation, and healthcare has been feeling the impact of inflation for years. And I think employees really want to slow down during this busy season and think about those benefits, think about their health, and look for cost-saving measures. So, you know, maybe your network has changed, so you want to make sure you check those physicians and make sure all your medical providers are in the network. And if you're relatively healthy, it may make sense to go to higher deductibles to bring those premium costs down, hopefully improve your monthly cash flow.
And so the end of the year is coming up, and it's a time when many people start saving. What tips do you have? And it's the holidays, so it's kind of hard to save, it seems like, you know, at the end of the year.
You know, in real estate, they always talk about location. Well, in our world, it's budget, budget, budget. So really just hone in on that cash flow plan that you have. Where are you spending your money? And I think it's so crucial to have a budget, especially around the holidays, to say, this is what I'm going to spend on my gift giving. And really try to, you know, stay focused on that, because what happens so often is we don't pay that much attention. January arrives and we get that unpleasant news of, oh, I owe all this money.
And so then we just had those midterm elections. How does elections affect the stock market and the market right now? Are we seeing anything different?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've seen, you know, a little bit of a rally in the last several days, but historically, in years of midterm elections, the markets are really kind of up and down through most of the year, and then at the end of the year, there's usually quite a bit of surge, and then usually 1 year after a midterm election, the markets are up somewhere around 15%. Now, who knows if it'll be that way in this coming year, but it's very typical to have a good market recovery after that midterm election.
Is there anything that we should look for or focus on after midterm elections when it comes to the market? Is there anything that we should pay attention to, or is this kind of, you know, normal?
Yeah, I think this is where a disciplined long-term strategy makes sense. I think all too often we try to outguess the markets, and that's a pretty impossible task, I think. And ultimately, I think if you stick to that long-term strategy, that's going to pay off in the long run.
And so then I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about cybersecurity. You had something you wanted to mention. What was that?
Yeah, I think with the holidays, we get so busy. We're all going to be throwing our credit cards out, doing a lot of different things. And I think the cybersecurity thieves and all the fraud folks out there, they double down. This is a great time while we're all distracted and busy. So I think freezing credit reports is such a crucial, important identity theft prevention measure. And then also making sure you have text message alerts on your credit cards so you know what's going on with those credit cards all the time.
Yeah, and so freezing a credit report, what does that do?
Yeah, it's kind of an inconvenient measure at times, because when you freeze it, you're going to get a PIN. That's like the key to your house. And what that means is, without your permission to open your credit file, you can't get credit. So that kind of keeps those identity thieves out of your credit file. But it also keeps you out of it. And so if you show up at the car dealership or you open a credit card at the store, you're going to be blocked as well. So you just have to anticipate that and make sure you open the credit file again.
Okay, and freezing your credit report, does that do anything to your credit? Can it affect it in any way?
No. Okay. All of your current credit relationships will continue to report. It just keeps the bad folks out of it.
Okay, so it keeps it just a little bit safer. And so with the holidays coming up and, you know, lots of shopping, gift buying, you bring up a really great point of cybersecurity. I could imagine this is probably a huge time for those thieves to steal money, to steal your identity. I'm sure you see it often.
See it all the time. And I think, you know, so often it's preventable. And we just, you know, most of us don't want strong passwords. We want to use the same passwords. We don't want to do all these different measures like using password managers. We don't really like freezing our credit. But those are the things that are going to keep you safer. And here's the thing. The inconvenience of a lot of those measures, like two-factor authentication, those are so much easier than trying to repair a hacked credit file. That is a brutally tough challenge.
Yeah, I feel like we should all just take that extra step and put on that two-factor authentication, or even doing some of those other measures, especially during the holidays like we had just talked about. It's such a time where people are so easy to come after you, and it's so sad. But Derek, thank you again for joining us on the Breakfast Show too, to talk a little bit about some financial stuff. We hope you got some good advice today. We'll be right back in just a little bit.